Have you ever wondered if your birth year holds a deeper meaning beyond simply marking the day you were born? In ancient Buddhist teachings and spiritual wisdom, each number is believed to carry its energy and vibration. And remarkably, the last digit of your birth year may unveil important truths about your past life. It could reflect the experiences, challenges, and soul lessons you've carried from a previous incarnation. Buddhism teaches us that life moves in a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, what we know as samsara. Throughout this journey, the soul gathers karma and wisdom that continues into the next life. By understanding these hidden influences, we gain deeper insight into who we are today. And we can begin creating a future filled with purpose and meaning. That final digit in your birth year acts like a mystical key, unlocking the cosmic message that reveals your soul's ancient path, telling the story of who you once were, what you endured, and why you've returned. In this video, we'll dive into the sacred connection between Buddhist numerology and past lives, to discover what the digits from 0 to 9 say about your spiritual history. Whether your soul was once a warrior, a healer, a seeker, or a teacher. These ancient insights are here to help you awaken, grow, and heal. As you open your heart to this wisdom, you'll begin to release the weight of the past and walk more freely in the truth of who you are. Prepare to uncover the unique spiritual imprint you were born with. What does the last number in your birth year say about your soul's former life? Let's begin this journey and awaken the ancient story within you. And if this message speaks to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, so others seeking spiritual clarity can join this path as well. If the final digit in your birth year is 0, then your previous incarnation was probably that of a quiet observer, a soul who cherished wisdom and emotional distance more than anything else. In Buddhist philosophy, the number 0 symbolizes emptiness, pure potential, and the vast void that links all of creation. Your spirit might have taken the form of a monk, a wise sage, or a thoughtful scholar, who pursued spiritual awakening by stepping away from worldly noise and attachments. In that former life, you likely devoted many hours to deep meditation, quietly witnessing existence without judgment or clinging. That lifetime focused on mastering mindfulness and nurturing inner calm, observing both suffering and joy without getting caught up in either. You were the eye of the storm, a steady presence in a world of chaos, fully living out the teaching of non-attachment. The lessons from that life centered on embracing impermanence and understanding suffering's true essence. Through dukkha, you came to see that holding on to desires or fears only makes pain more intense, and that by releasing those attachments, real freedom can be found. In this life, you might feel naturally attracted to solitude and spiritual exploration, or guiding others toward calmness during their difficult moments. But now, your challenge is learning how to balance spiritual detachment with human connection. You may at times feel emotionally distant or disconnected from the people around you in this life. The silent observation in your past life left you with deep wisdom. But in this life, you're being called to express that wisdom through compassionate action, to carry the peace you've nurtured within and share it with the world. By fully accepting 0's energy, you can begin to mend any leftover sense of separation and grow into a shining light of peaceful strength. Remember, the void isn't a hollow space to fear, but a rich, sacred space where new beginnings are born. Your soul's journey now asks you to hold both silence and loving connection within you, acting as a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds. If your birth year ends in 1, your past life likely shaped you into a courageous leader, someone who wasn't afraid to step forward when others held back. In spiritual numerology, the number 1 symbolizes new beginnings, independence, and inner strength. Your soul may have once lived as a pioneer, a warrior, or a visionary, blazing a trail where none existed before. You carried a mission, a purpose that pushed you to act boldly. and protect what mattered most. That life was focused on building inner strength and self-trust, learning how to lead without letting pride or fear take over. You may have been a protector of your community, someone others look to in times of danger or change. Your spirit developed the courage to walk alone when necessary, knowing the path of leadership can be isolating, but also incredibly rewarding. You stood strong in your truth, even when challenged, and earned the soul's badge of resilience. The karmic lessons from that lifetime involved learning how to lead with compassion, not control, how to inspire rather than dominate. In this life, you may feel naturally drawn to leadership roles, or feel a fire inside to create change, speak out, or build something new. You may feel restless in situations where you can't take charge, or when you see injustice go unchallenged. But your challenge now is learning to lead without ego, to trust that influence comes not just through action, but through presence, patience, and deep listening. Sometimes your strong will can cause conflict or impatience, but these are echoes of your past life's fierce independence. You are being called now to unite that bravery with empathy, humility, and wisdom. As you do, your leadership becomes healing. You become a guide, a light for others still lost in fear. Remember, you're not here to control the world, but to help awaken it, starting with your own heart. If your birth year ends in 2, your past life was likely one of emotional sensitivity and spiritual service. You may have been a healer, a caregiver, or a peacemaker, devoted to restoring balance in the lives of others. In Buddhist numerology, 2 symbolizes duality, harmony, and connection. Your soul once lived in deep attunement to the emotions of others, absorbing both their joy and suffering. You were guided by compassion, often sacrifice your own needs to bring comfort to those around you. Perhaps you lived as a temple healer, a devoted partner, or a spiritual counselor, someone whose presence alone brought ease. This past life taught you the art of empathy, how to listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. You learned how to hold space for others without judgment, to heal simply by being present. But that life also brought challenges. You may have struggled to set boundaries, taking on more pain than was yours to carry. The karmic wound from that lifetime may linger in your current life, as emotional overwhelm, people-pleasing, or codependency. You might feel responsible for others' happiness, or guilty when you choose your peace. This life asks you to heal that pattern, to remember that your empathy is a gift, but not a burden you must bear alone. You are here to offer love, but also to receive it, to give freely without draining yourself. In this lifetime, you're being called to balance connection with self-respect, to serve from a full heart, not an empty one. When you honor your own emotions as much as others, your healing power becomes limitless. You are the empath, the nurturer, the one who reminds the world that love is the greatest medicine. Let your sensitivity become your strength, and your heart will light the way for others. If your birth year ends in 3, your past life was likely filled with expression, creativity, and storytelling. You may have been a poet, artist, musician, or teacher, someone who translated deep truths into beautiful forms. In spiritual numerology, the number 3 represents communication, joy, and creative energy. Your soul once lived to inspire others, to awaken hearts through words, art, or performance. You were a channel for divine expression, using your talents to uplift and unite. Whether in music, dance, teaching, or spiritual poetry, you spoke the unspoken and gave voice to the silent. You may have lived in a temple school, as a performer, or even as a wandering storyteller, spreading wisdom in ways people could feel. Your past life taught you that truth can be shared not just through facts, but through rhythm, beauty, and emotion. You learned how to move energy with your words, how to shift hearts with a single song, a gentle phrase, a painted symbol. But that life also held challenges. You may have struggled with being misunderstood, or felt pressure to perform, to please others with your gifts. There may have been times when your voice was silenced, your creativity is suppressed, and that karmic wound may linger now as self-doubt. You might fear being judged or rejected for expressing yourself, or feel blocked when trying to create. But this life invites you to reclaim your voice, to remember that expression is not just performance. It's medicine, both for you and those who receive it. You are not here to entertain. You are here to awaken, to remind the world of the sacred power of creativity. When you speak, paint, or write from your soul, you ripple healing across lifetimes. Let your voice rise again, not for applause, but for truth. If the last digit of your birth year is 4, your past life was likely one of structure, dedication, and quiet strength. You may have been a builder, a guardian, or a spiritual devotee, focused on creating a strong foundation for others to thrive upon. In Buddhist numerology, the number 4 symbolizes order, discipline, and rootedness. Your soul once lived a life of responsibility, perhaps in a temple community, a village, or a sacred order. You served through steady effort, valuing tradition, hard work, and consistency. Your strength wasn't loud or flashy. It was dependable, honest, and enduring. You were the one others leaned on, the one who kept things together when chaos arrived. Your past life taught you patience, resilience, and spiritual loyalty. You may have built temples, kept sacred rituals, or ensured others were cared for behind the scenes. But that life also carried burdens. You may have felt trapped by duty, overworked, or unseen despite your efforts. In this life, those karmic echoes may show up as perfectionism, workaholism, or feeling unappreciated. You might believe your worth is tied only to what you produce. That love must be earned through service. But now, your soul is learning a new lesson. To trust that your being is just as valuable as your doing. That rest is not laziness, and receiving is not weakness. This life invites you to build not just for others, but also for yourself. To create inner stability, not just external order. When you honor your needs alongside your purpose, you become the foundation others can grow upon. You are here to show the sacredness of structure. That discipline can be an act of devotion, and that the strongest walls are built with love. Let your grounded energy become a haven, not a prison, and you will rise as a true spiritual builder. If your birth year ends in 5, your past life was likely full of movement, risk, and endless discovery. You may have been a traveler, a merchant, or a spiritual wanderer, someone who refused to be tied down by tradition or fear. In Buddhist numerology, 5 symbolizes experience, transformation, and fearless change. Your soul once walked the path of the adventurer, crossing borders both physical and spiritual. You lived many lives in one, constantly evolving, learning, and embracing the unknown. You may have followed a caravan across deserts, or sailed uncharted seas guided only by the stars. You sought truth through experience, not through books, testing beliefs with your own life. But that path also brought chaos. You may have faced exile, instability, or danger. You might have been misunderstood as rebellious or reckless. And the karma of that life may echo now, as restlessness, commitment struggles, or a fear of being trapped. You may chase change, yet resist stillness, as if motion itself is your safety. But this lifetime calls you to transform again, not by running, but by rooting. You are here to explore inner freedom, to realize that liberation can also be found in presence. Now your challenge is to stay long enough to grow, to build something lasting without losing your soul's wildness. Your past made you brave, but this life asks you to be brave enough to stay, to turn freedom into wisdom, and adventure into grounded purpose. You are the wind, but now you are learning how to become the sky that holds it. If your birth year ends in 6, Your past life was likely defined by service, devotion, and emotional depth. You may have been a caregiver, a spiritual guide, or a protector. Someone who places others' well-being above their own. In Buddhist numerology, 6 represents harmony, compassion, and sacred duty. Your soul walked the path of the guardian, one who carried others through hardship with strength and grace. You may have been a healer, a mother, or a teacher, nurturing those around you with deep spiritual care. You brought balance to chaos, peace to pain, and protection to the vulnerable. But that life also brought burdens. You may have sacrificed your own needs, carried too much responsibility, or stayed in situations that drained your spirit. The karma of that life may now show up as overgiving, guilt, or a fear of letting people down. You may feel like it's your job to fix everything, even at the cost of your peace. But this lifetime calls you to shift that pattern. You are still a guardian, but you must now include yourself in your circle of care. You are here to learn that true love doesn't require self-abandonment. Compassion can be shared, but it must start from within. This life invites you to protect your energy, honor your boundaries, and let others grow without carrying their weight. You are still a healer, but now healing begins with you. Your wisdom lies in balance, in knowing when to give and when to rest. You are the heart of the sacred home. But even the strongest sanctuary must be nurtured from within. If your birth year ends in 7, your past life was likely marked by solitude, insight, and spiritual inquiry. You may have lived as a hermit, philosopher, or quiet monk, someone who withdrew from the noise of the world to hear the voice within. In Buddhist numerology, 7 symbolizes inner knowing, reflection, and spiritual awakening. Your soul walked the mystic's path, searching not for riches or fame, but for meaning, truth, and divine connection. You may have meditated in forests, studied ancient scriptures, or wandered in silence for years, guided only by intuition. You were deeply introspective, sensitive to energy, and often felt more at home in the unseen realms than in the physical world. But that inward path had its shadows. You may have felt isolated, misunderstood, or disconnected from others. You might have struggled with loneliness or skepticism, and carried wounds from spiritual doubt or disillusionment. Now in this life, that karma may appear as emotional distance, fear of vulnerability, or difficulty trusting others with your inner world. You may crave deep connection, but also protect your solitude fiercely. This lifetime invites you to integrate your inner wisdom with human connection, to share your insights rather than hide them. You are not here to retreat forever, but to walk among others as a light in the dark, to bring spiritual truth into daily life, not as a preacher, but as a living example. You are here to be both seeker and sharer, to trust that your inner voice has value not just for you, but for the world. You are the mystic who must now speak. If the last digit of your birth year is 8, your previous life was likely filled with challenges, power, and perseverance. You may have lived as a leader, a fighter, or a protector, someone who faced hardship head-on and rose above it. In Buddhist numerology, 8 represents karma, resilience, and material mastery. Your soul walked the warrior's path, learning through resistance, responsibility, and discipline. You may have been in a position of influence, or carried the burden of rebuilding what others destroyed. You were strong because you had to be, a survivor, a builder, and a force for justice. But that path also brought scars. You may have suffered betrayal, loss, or the corruption of power. You might have hardened your heart to keep going. And now in this life, the echo of that karma may appear, as control issues, fear of failure, or a struggle to surrender. You may push yourself too hard, feeling your worth is tied to success, or that love must be earned through sacrifice. But this lifetime offers a new kind of strength, one that includes softness, rest, and trust. You are not here just to fight, but to flourish. To learn that true power doesn't dominate. It heals, it uplifts, it liberates. You are here to balance ambition with compassion, achievement with humility. You are the warrior who now learns to lay down the sword, not in defeat, but in peace. Your soul is strong, but now it must become whole. If the final digit of your birth year is 9, your past life was likely one of great growth, service, and spiritual maturity. You may have been a teacher, a healer, or a wise elder, someone others turn to for guidance and comfort. In Buddhist numerology, 9 stands for endings, wisdom, and selfless love. Your soul walked the path of the teacher, not just through words, but through how you lived. You had endured many lifetimes before this, and in that previous one, you likely gave back. You helped others, offered wisdom, and may have let go of ego to serve something greater. But that noble path carried weight. You may have sacrificed your dreams, felt the loneliness of being the guide, or struggled with feeling unseen. Now in this life, you may carry both wisdom and weariness, a deep compassion, but also a hidden ache from all you've held. You might sense things others don't, or feel emotions you can't explain. This lifetime is your invitation to rest, to receive as much as you give. You are still a teacher, but now your lesson is joy. To remember that enlightenment doesn't mean suffering. It can also mean lightness, laughter, and love. You've lived many lives serving others. Now you are allowed to live for yourself too, not in selfishness, but in celebration. You are the lantern, but even the lantern must be refueled. Let yourself be filled. Let yourself be free. You have nothing left to prove, only light to share. These final digits are more than just numbers. They're the echoes of a journey your soul has taken across lifetimes. Each one holds a vibration, a memory, a purpose. They tell the story of who you were and point toward who you're becoming. In Buddhist numerology, there are no accidents, only paths chosen long before birth. Whether you are the seeker, the guardian, the warrior, or the guide, your past life patterns are not chains, but clues. Clues to your gifts, your wounds, and your sacred mission in this life. You're not here to repeat the past. You're here to evolve from it, to take what your soul has learned, and use it to heal, to grow, to awaken. This number is not your destiny. It's your invitation to remember who you've been, and to step fully into who you are meant to be. So look again at that final digit, not with superstition, but with reverence, because your soul chose it, and it holds the map back to yourself.